In a bustling corner of Delhi, India, in the early 1930s, a seemingly ordinary young girl began telling a story that would challenge everything we know about life, death, and what lies beyond. Her name was Shanti Devi, and what she claimed was no less than extraordinary. She believed she had lived before, in another body, in another town, and she could remember every detail of that previous life. Her words sent ripples across a deeply spiritual nation, but the details she provided, specific names, addresses, and events, went far beyond what anyone thought possible. When her claims were investigated, even skeptics found themselves at a loss for words. This is not just any story about reincarnation. It's a real-life account about a little girl whose memories of her past life became so vivid, so undeniable, that even Mahatma Gandhi himself felt compelled to investigate. What they found will leave you questioning the very nature of existence itself. Shanti Devi was born on December 11, 1926, in the bustling city of Delhi, India, to an ordinary family. Her parents, blissfully unaware of what lay ahead, thought she was like any other child. But by the time Shanti turned 4 years old, she began saying things that left her parents both amused and alarmed. At an age when most children are just learning the basics of their world, Shanti began speaking of another life entirely. She insisted that Delhi was not her real home. Instead, she talked incessantly about a town called Mathura, over 100 miles away. She spoke of a husband named Kedarnath, a son she had left behind, and a tragic death that had ended her life prematurely. At first, her parents brushed off her words as the product of an overactive imagination. But Shanti's memories weren't vague or childlike. They were shockingly detailed. She described her previous home in Mathura, the layout of the house, and even specific events from her life as a woman named Shanti Devi. Her mother and father were unsettled but skeptical. How could a 4-year-old child know so much about a place she had never been? How could she describe people she had never met? Still, they kept her claims to themselves, hoping her strange behavior would fade with time. It didn't. As Shanti grew older, her memories only became sharper. By the time she was 6, she could recount her previous life with eerie precision. She spoke of her marriage to Kedarnath, the struggles she faced during pregnancy, and the heartbreak of dying shortly after childbirth. She even described the hospital where she had passed away, recalling her final moments with startling clarity. Finally, a distant relative, Bishan, decided to take the matter into his own hands. He spoke to Shanti, then wrote a letter to Kedarnath to see if what Shanti said was really true, or just the imagination of a child. Surprisingly, Kedarnath replied, confirming most of Shanti's claims. Kedarnath then suggested one of his relatives, Kanjimal, who also lived in Delhi, meet Shanti face-to-face to further verify Shanti's claims. Days later, Kanjimal showed up at Shanti's family home. Shanti immediately recognized him as her husband's cousin, stunning everyone by asking him about her husband, Kedarnath, and their home in Mathura, even telling him of a secret location where she had buried some money. Kanjimal was left speechless. He couldn't shake what he had heard. He immediately left for Mathura to personally persuade Kedarnath to come to Delhi to meet Shanti. Kedarnath finally went to Delhi on November 12, 1935, with his current wife, bringing along the son he had with Lugdi, Navneet, as well. The day Kedarnath arrived in Delhi was one Shanti's family would never forget. As soon as he walked through the door, Shanti ran to him, calling him her husband. She spoke to him as though she had known him her entire life, addressing him not as a stranger, but as someone she had once loved deeply. She even recognized Kedarnath's current wife and referred to her as the new wife, much to the astonishment of everyone present. Shanti then began talking about the house she shared with Kedarnath in Mathura. She described its layout, the location of specific objects, and even the spot where Kedarnath had hidden some money. Her words left no room for doubt. This child was not guessing. She knew things that no one outside the family could have known. Perhaps the most heart-wrenching moment came when she met her son from her previous life, the child whose birth had led to Shanti Devi's death. Though he was now nearly her age, she embraced him with such maternal affection that many witnesses had to look away, moved to tears by the raw emotion of the scene. By now, Shanti's story had spread far beyond her family and neighbors. It reached the ears of Mahatma Gandhi, who, intrigued by her claims, invited Shanti to stay at his ashram and personally interviewed her. The detail and consistency of her memories impressed Gandhi so much that he formed a 15-member committee made up of parliamentarians, national leaders, and members from the media to investigate the case. The committee managed to persuade Shanti's parents to allow her to accompany them to Mathura. The trip was a test. If Shanti's memories were real, she would need to prove them in the town she had never visited in her current life. The committee watched closely, ready to expose any fabrication. But Shanti's confidence never wavered. When their train arrived in Mathura, Shanti's composure was striking. Without hesitation, she led the group through the streets, pointing out landmarks and describing locations with uncanny accuracy. She directed them to Kedarnath's house and identified it immediately, even though she had never been there before. Before anyone could speak, she was out of the car, running toward the entrance with the certainty of someone returning home after a long journey. Inside the house, her knowledge was even more stunning. She pointed out specific rooms and recalled events that had taken place there. When asked about the hidden money she had mentioned before in Delhi, she led them to the exact spot where Kedarnath had stashed it years earlier. The family, the committee, and even the skeptics were left in awe. Every detail Shanti provided was correct. It was as though she were seeing the world through Shanti Devi's eyes, even years after Shanti's death. The committee decided to test Shanti one last time. She had spoken of a temple she used to visit frequently in her past life. Without giving her any clues, they took her to the Dwarkadish temple in Mathura. As soon as she arrived, Shanti's face lit up. She led the group through the temple, pointing out specific areas where she had prayed and spent time. Her connection to the place was undeniable, leaving even the most skeptical members of the committee at a loss for words. When the investigation concluded, the committee released a report in 1936 confirming the authenticity of Shanti Devi's claims. The findings were clear. There was no explanation for her knowledge other than the possibility of reincarnation. Her case became a cornerstone for researchers studying reincarnation, including Dr. Ian Stevenson from the University of Virginia, who included it in his extensive studies of reincarnation cases. The detailed documentation, multiple witnesses, and official investigation make it one of the most credible reincarnation cases ever recorded. Even Mahatma Gandhi himself acknowledged her case as compelling evidence of reincarnation, saying, "I cannot but regard her present state as the result of a series of reincarnations." As she grew older, Shanti retreated to a quiet life, avoiding the spotlight that had once shone so brightly on her, choosing instead to dedicate herself to education and spiritual pursuits. She never married, saying she had already experienced married life in her previous incarnation. She passed away in 1987, leaving behind one of the most compelling and well-documented cases of reincarnation in history. To this day, Shanti Devi's tale challenges our understanding of life and death. Was she truly a reincarnated soul, or was her knowledge the result of something we cannot yet explain? Whatever the truth may be, her story remains a powerful reminder of the mysteries that lie beyond the veil of mortality.